Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 319. Another day, another alleged Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell survivor has come forward. The new accuser says that she was assaulted, sexually and otherwise, by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. How many times are we going to hear this same story, right? And for me, there are so many unnamed girls that I expect this to happen. I've said this for how long now? That it's going to be like when a dam starts to crack, right? You get one person who comes forward, then another, then another, then another, and before you know it, it's not just a trickle of water. You have a gusher on your hands. And that's what I think is going to happen in this case. And it'll be up to the prosecutors and all of the other people on the inside to sort it all out. Me, I'll be right here where I always am, in the studio, narrating the story. Because at this point, that's what I feel like I'm doing, right? I feel like we're engaged in a long-ass audiobook right now, and I'm the narrator. That's how I feel with this story. I mean, it's insane. It is insane how many girls were involved in this, how many girls were affected by this, and how many of them we still have not heard from. So when I see articles like this come across my desk, there's no doubt in my mind that it's expected, at least from me anyway, because you know that for every person who has spoken up so far, there are 10, 15, 20 girls or people who were involved or who were abused by these scumbags that have not come forward yet. So I think it's a good thing when you see these people come forward, and I think that it's important, right, to add that context. I think it's important that all of these girls who have lived in fear because of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for so many decades, I think it's important that they get a chance to tell their story. And then let the prosecutors sort it out, right? All right, so this article is from the New York Post. Headline: NYC woman claims Ghislaine Maxwell gagged, restrained, and raped her. The author of this article, Lee Brown. So right off the bat from the headline, it's pretty grim reading, right? Gonna need a bleach bath probably after reading this, like usual when we talk about this stuff. And it's just par for the course with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein at this point, right? Every time I hear one of these stories, look, let me tell you, before this Jeffrey Epstein case, if I didn't know what I knew about this case, I would be highly skeptical of everything coming out, right? How prolific could this guy possibly have been? That's what I would have been thinking. And then you spend, 704 episodes together here. That's 704 articles. And you start to see a different picture emerge, right? You start to understand that Jeffrey Epstein was that prolific. That Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell did all of the things that they're accused of. At the very least, that's what it appears to be from the evidence we have available to us. A Manhattan-born woman has claimed that she was gagged, restrained, and raped by Ghislaine Maxwell before Jeffrey Epstein joined in on the attack, according to an interview published Sunday. Hey, look, Are we really going to believe that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein are above this sort of forcible, violent sexual assault? I certainly don't believe it. I think I'm pretty clear with how perverse I believe Ghislaine Maxwell is, and obviously how crazy and disgusting Epstein was. So I don't put it above them at all. The new accuser, identified by the pseudonym Samantha, told The Sun that she was violently assaulted after she recruited a 19-year-old friend for the notorious pedophile and told her to lie that she was 16. So, this new accuser, Samantha, said she was violently assaulted after she recruited a 19-year-old friend to bring into the scam, to bring into the sex Ponzi scheme, and then she had to tell that friend to lie and say she was 16. Because we all know how Epstein rolls, right? He wants them young. He wanted them that age. At the very least, he wanted them to look that age and then have you lie to him. We're dealing with a very, very sick individual, folks. We're not dealing with somebody that could have rehabbed. We're not dealing with somebody that needed to sit down with, Dr. Malfi from The Sopranos. We're talking about an absolute sociopathic psycho. There was only two ways to fix this man. One, well, that's the result we have, his death. And two, chemical castration. She claims she was then summoned to Epstein's Manhattan mansion where the British media heiress, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scumbag Maxwell took her to a massage room and started screaming that she was a dirty, filthy, whore, a lying whore. And look, I mean, do you guys, is it too far of a stretch? Honestly, is it too far of a stretch? We know how Ghislaine Maxwell would talk to the underlings. We know how Ghislaine Maxwell would talk to people that were in Epstein's employ. So why wouldn't she talk like this to one of these girls that she plans on assaulting? The next thing I knew, she had a ball gag in my mouth, my hands around my back, and she was raping me with a sex toy. She claimed of the alleged attack when she was a 21-year-old Parsons student. It's just so insane to think that after all of these decades, after all of these stories had first come out, after, Virginia came forward and Maria and, Courtney and Teresa, you name it, right? Michelle, everyone came forward. And you think, just with all of those girls that have come forward, you say to yourself, holy shit, what a prolific, sick bastard. He was involved in abusing all of these girls. And then, when it starts to settle in, and you start to understand the true scope of what really occurred, it's almost too much to get your mind around, right? It is absolutely deplorable that this was allowed to take place over a period of time where we went through 4 different presidencies. She had taken my clothes off. It all happened so fast, I was stunned. She was using the sex toy on me and on herself. Then she called in Epstein, and he joined in. She said, calling it traumatizing. Yeah, you think? I can't even imagine. Imagine being forced into relations with these two. It's unbelievable. Just reading about it makes me want to drink every single bottle of bleach in the cleaner section at the supermarket. Never mind having to live it. So yeah, when I say that these girls that were abused by these sick bastards deserve every last cent in that fund, I am not messing around. I truly feel like that. And money doesn't fix everything, right? But it's a damn good start. I was terrified. I couldn't do anything to stop them, she claimed. I remember her giving me $300 and saying, "Don't think about going to the authorities because you won't be alive to see your day in court." Or something like that, Samantha told the paper. More threats. Ghislaine Maxwell, she excelled in that. How many of these survivors had she threatened? And when you're dealing with people as powerful as Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, you take those threats to heart, right? That's not like some jagoff telling you, oh yeah, this is, my friends are going to put their thumb on you and you're going to be in real trouble. No, this is people that you walk into his house and you see the kind of people he hangs out with. You see that he rubs elbows with presidents, ex-presidents, senators, congressmen, ambassadors, you name it. And of course, if they threaten you, you take that more seriously, wouldn't you? I know I would. Samantha, who previously ignored Epstein masturbating while she gave him a handful of $400 massages in 93 and 94, said it was the last time that she saw the pair. When they were done, when it was finally over, I walked out of that door a very different person than what I walked in. I was in shock, she said. And again, look, folks, I wasn't there, right? Who knows what really occurred. But one thing is for sure. There is a pattern of abuse when it comes to Epstein and Maxwell that cannot be ignored. And we know that there are so many unnamed girls that have not come forward that every single one of these stories that comes across my desk, I take as fact until proven otherwise, right? Because who knows how many girls were truly affected by this? I'll let the prosecutors and the lawyers for the survivors sort all of that out. The abuse changed her life completely and left her fleeing the Big Apple to become a sex worker in Los Angeles, she claimed. Yeah, that shit happens, right? When you suffer trauma, especially sexual trauma, a lot of times these girls end up as sex workers, hookers, escorts, strippers, whatever it may be. And it's because they have that trauma hanging over them and they're trying to run away from it. They're trying to get away from it. And they have feelings of less worth than others. And it becomes a terrible cycle. They stole my whole life. I had a bright future ahead of me, and they took that from me, Samantha, now 48, told The Sun. I feel like they took away my ambition, my drive, and my future. The New Manhattan-born accuser's lawyer, Spencer Coven, told the paper that he was submitting an application to the Epstein Compensation Fund and that Samantha was now willing to talk to investigators. So that's a good thing, right? Anybody who's willing to go under oath, you gotta, give them a nod and think that at least give them the benefit of the doubt, right? It's more than any of these scumbags on the other side will do. Where's Dershowitz under oath? Where's Glenn Dubin under oath? Where's Bill Richardson under oath? Where's Les Wexner under oath? Where's Prince Andrew under oath? You get the drift, huh, folks? And Spencer Coven's been involved in this case for a minute, right? It's not like he's just some, Johnny-come-lately lawyer that showed up. I am sure he looked into her claims. You would think, right? If he's submitting her to that compensation fund, you would think that Spencer Coven and his law firm vetted these claims and they found them legit. She said she was only coming forward now that Epstein is dead and Maxwell is being held in custody on serious sex charges, claiming she was previously too scared. Well, we know that. We know how scary these individuals were. We've heard from Maria how Maria had to duck and dodge and hide from these people, and we've heard it from others. So again, I don't blame anybody who didn't come forward when this was first occurring while these people were still running around, especially when they have so much power and so much pull. She insisted that Maxwell was the real monster and said she wants to see her suffer in prison rather than die like Epstein, who hanged himself in a Manhattan lockup last year while awaiting trial. Allegedly. And I look, she's not wrong. Ghislaine Maxwell, I almost called her Ghislaine Monster. That's funny. Maybe that should be her new name. Instead of Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm going to call her Ghislaine Monster from now on. So she wants Ghislaine Monster to really suffer while she's in jail. She doesn't want her to die in prison like Epstein. She wants her to go through the full gauntlet. And I agree. Somebody has to be left holding the hot potato, right? I want to see her punished. I don't want her to die, she told the UK paper. I think that Epstein got away too easily by killing himself, allegedly. I would rather have seen him suffer. And she needs to suffer like she made us all suffer. Samantha said she was recruited by another student at Parsons School of Design and feels consumed with guilt that the girl she had recruited and made lie about her age had also been sexually assaulted by Epstein, she claimed. Again, another story like Sarah Robson, right? Unbelievable. It is unbelievable what these girls had to go through. Just absolutely mind-bending. This is like the kind of shit you would read in a book, right? Some sort of like Gillian Flynn novel or something. How could this possibly be real life? How could we have people living amongst us that are this disgusting? And how can anybody cover up for people like this? Coven said that his client's story was backed by police searches of Epstein's mansion that found various different sexual devices that could be used in sadomasochistic type sexual activities. Maxwell's lawyers did not respond to the Sun's request for comment, the paper said. Maxwell, who was arrested in July, is being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn on charges of conspiring with Epstein to sexually abuse young women. So, look, there's going to be a ton more of these stories that come out, right? And we'll report on all of them. See, that's the format that I follow here. The second it hits the news, right? The second it hits the news cycle, the second the papers start reporting on it, we dive in and we look in between the lines. We take a look at things and I break it down from my point of view. I'm not here breaking the news, though. That certainly is not my role within this community. Like I said, I feel like I'm the narrator of the story at this point on a daily basis, 2 times a day, here to bring whatever it is that they're reporting in the news directly to all of you, the most incredible listeners in the whole podcast world. So, folks, look, get ready for stuff like this to happen at a bigger clip. I've been saying it for how long, and we're seeing it now, right? We're going to see a lot more of it. A lot more girls are going to come forward who have never been named before, who maybe, nobody even knows who they are, right? Besides their lawyers and the prosecutors. So definitely get ready for that. And tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more about the financial angle of this. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Deutsche Bank and the hot water that their CEO has found himself in. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links, plus the PayPal link for this, for the podcast, can all be found in the description box. As for me, I'll be back tomorrow, folks, and we'll pick back up where we left off.